I talked to him, have spoken to him a few times, whatever, but in terms of me having like an intimate relationship with men, I can name them all on one hand, and he ain't on the hand.
The Mariah thing, yeah, that's true. Those rumors are true, and I'm not gonna deny them.
So did you date him?
No. Can I just clarify that I did not have a physical relationship with him? I did not have an intimate relationship. I've been with less men than I can, been on one hand.
In the late 1980s, a young girl from Long Island, New York, was preparing to change the music industry forever. Her name was Mariah Carey. She started her career by making demo tapes, hoping that her extraordinary vocal range and natural talent would catch the right ears. Eventually, one of those tapes made its way into the hands of Tommy Mottola, the powerful head of Columbia Records. The moment he heard her voice, he was convinced she was a star. He immediately signed her to Columbia, and on June 5, 1990, Mariah made her first major public appearance at the NBA Finals, where she sang America the Beautiful before the game. Just a week later, on June 12, 1990, she released her self-titled debut album, Mariah Carey. Columbia Records had invested heavily in her, pouring over $1 million into promotion, and the gamble paid off. The album topped the Billboard 200, and by 1991, it became the best-selling album in the United States. Her rise was undeniable. Mariah followed up with her second studio album, Emotions, released on September 17, 1991, debuting at number 4 on the Billboard 200 with 129,000 copies sold in the first week.
Okay, so what was going on between you and Eminem, if anything?
Nothing. Look, I talked to him, have spoken to him a few times, whatever, but in terms of me having like an intimate relationship with men, I can name them all on one hand, and he ain't on the hand.
Through the 1990s, she kept dominating with projects like Music Box and Merry Christmas, the latter containing the timeless holiday anthem, All I Want for Christmas Is You. By the mid-90s, Mariah Carey wasn't just a star. She was one of the biggest names in the entire music industry. Meanwhile, in Detroit, Michigan, a kid named Marshall Mathers was grinding in the underground rap scene. He went by the stage name Eminem, stylized like the candy, and dropped his first album Infinite on November 12, 1996. The project flopped commercially, selling poorly, and barely registering on the hip-hop radar. But Eminem didn't stop. He created an alter ego in 1997, Slim Shady, and dropped the Slim Shady EP. That year, he performed at the Rap Olympics in Los Angeles, where an intern from Interscope Records got hold of his EP. That tape eventually reached Dr. Dre, who was so impressed that he signed Eminem to Aftermath Entertainment. On February 23, 1999, Eminem released the Slim Shady LP, which catapulted him into superstardom. The real explosion came with his second album, the Marshall Mathers LP, on May 22, 2000, which sold an astonishing 1.78 million copies in its first week, a number almost unheard of at the time. Eminem had officially become one of the most powerful and controversial figures in music. It was in 2001, during this peak, that Eminem and Mariah Carey's worlds collided. Mariah was preparing her new album, Charm Bracelet, and allegedly reached out to Eminem to collaborate. According to Eminem, the two ended up dating for about 6 months before things fell apart. Mariah, however, denied it entirely, claiming they only had a business relationship and nothing more. Eminem wasn't the type to let something like that slide. On May 26, 2002, he released his third studio album, The Eminem Show. On tracks like Superman and When the Music Stops, he dropped hints about a supposed relationship with Mariah, rapping about betrayal and heartbreak. When fans heard those bars, the world was shocked. Had Eminem and Mariah Carey really been a couple? Mariah wasn't having it. On December 3, 2002, she released her 9th studio album, Charm Bracelet. On the track Clown, she fired back, denying they were ever intimate and even mocking him as a puppet. That same day, she went on The Oprah Winfrey Show, where Oprah directly asked her about Eminem. Mariah responded that she had spoken to him a few times, but insisted there was no intimate relationship. She said she could count her partners on one hand, and Eminem was not on that list. Eminem, however, doubled down. In interviews, he insisted the relationship had happened. He even played alleged voicemails from Mariah during live shows.
The Mariah thing, yeah, that's true. Those rumors are true, and I'm not gonna deny them.
So did you date him?
No. Can I just clarify that I did not have a physical relationship with him? I did not have an intimate relationship. I've been with less men than I can, than on one hand. So he's not one of those men.
Mocking her voice and portraying her as obsessed with him. The public was left confused. Who was telling the truth? By 2003, the feud escalated when Mariah performed Clown, wearing a blonde wig and a Detroit Pistons jersey, a clear jab at Eminem. The message was obvious. Eminem responded on November 12, 2004, with his album Encore, where the track Puke seemed to reference both his ex-wife Kim and Mariah. Things got even nastier in 2005 when Eminem performed in New York City. While performing his song Like Toy Soldiers, he stopped mid-show, leaked what he claimed was a voicemail of Mariah flirting with him, mocked her on stage, and then pretended to vomit into a toilet while the song Puke played. The message was unmistakable. Eminem was determined to humiliate her publicly. The feud went quiet for a while as Eminem battled drug addiction and stepped away from the spotlight. But it wasn't over. In 2009, after Mariah had married Nick Cannon, Eminem made his long-awaited return with his album Relapse. On the track Bagpipes from Baghdad, he dissed both Mariah and Nick, mocking their relationship and threatening Nick with lines like, "Nick Cannon better back the F up. I really want you bad, you punk." Nick Cannon wasn't silent. In a blog post, he accused Eminem of disrespecting black women, saying, "I thought we got past the days where white men could spew vulgar obscenities at our beautiful queens and get away with it." He promised to be relentless in defending his wife. Mariah, meanwhile, plotted her revenge musically. On June 16, 2009, she dropped Obsessed, the lead single for her album Memoirs of an Imperfect Angel. The track was a direct response to Eminem, portraying him as a delusional stalker. The music video even featured Mariah dressed as an Eminem lookalike following her around, painting him as obsessed and pathetic. Eminem struck back with The Warning, released on July 30th, 2009. This wasn't subliminal anymore. It was a full-on diss. He threatened to release photos and recordings of Mariah, claimed she had flown to his house multiple times, and included alleged voicemails from her. His lyrics were venomous, painting Mariah as a liar while taunting Nick Cannon. Mariah stayed quiet, but Nick Cannon wasn't letting it go. On September 12, 2010, he dropped his own diss track called I'm a Slick Rick, taking aim at Eminem. It didn't hit nearly as hard, but it showed Nick wasn't backing down. Eminem eventually told Vibe magazine in 2010 that he was done with the feud, saying he didn't want to keep beating a dead horse. But Nick Cannon kept it alive, often making comments about Eminem in interviews and online. By 2016, after his divorce from Mariah, Nick tweeted that he wanted Eminem to appear on Wild 'N Out. Eminem never responded, but the idea of them facing off on stage fascinated fans. Later that year, Nick and Mariah officially divorced, ending their marriage. The feud reignited in 2019 when Nick appeared on T.I.'s podcast. He said he didn't think he could out-rap Eminem, but promised he could whoop his ass. Eminem got wind of it, and on December 6, 2019, delivered a verse on Fat Joe and Dre's track Lord Above, calling Mariah a nut job and saying Nick was whipped. Nick fired back, congratulating Fat Joe on Instagram while mocking Eminem as Grandpa Marshall. Days later, he released a diss track called The Invitation, featuring a Suge Knight intro and bars aimed at Eminem's family. Eminem responded with tweets mocking Nick, saying, "Stop lying on my D***K. I never even had a chauffeur." Nick then dropped Pray for him on December 10th, and The Invitation canceled on December 19th. Where he sampled an old Eminem song from his teenage years, attempting to paint him as racist. Eminem, however, never released a diss track back. His tweets were the last word. By 2020, the feud fizzled, but Nick continued bringing it up occasionally, mostly tied to Wild 'N Out. He admitted he wanted Eminem on the show because it would be ratings gold. Eminem, though, stayed silent, and the beef eventually cooled. In the end, the Mariah Carey verses. Eminem's saga remains one of hip-hop's most bizarre and long-lasting celebrity feuds. What started as a rumored fling turned into nearly 2 decades of music, interviews, subliminals, diss tracks, and public spectacle. To this day, fans remain divided over what really happened between them. But one thing is undeniable. It left a permanent scar in pop culture.